As we approach what some are calling the beginning of the end of U.S. involvement in Iraq, we thought it might be a good idea to take a look back at what we have accomplished and what we haven't since the war in Iraq began more than 5.5 years ago in the spring of 2003. Joining us here to elaborate on that is David Andelman, the editor of World Policy Journal. David, good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
So, as we try to take stock here, there was a lot of discussion when the war began about democratization, democracy taking hold in the Middle East. Has that really happened?
Well, as much as it ever has before. I mean, certainly Iraq was supposed to be the seed for that. This was supposed to be the model, a democratic Iraq, the model for all of the rest of the nations surrounding it, Saudi Arabia, Syria, and so on, Lebanon. Clearly that hasn't happened. Obviously, this is no model for any country at this point. We don't have democracy there. We have nothing but chaos and violence for the most part, although the violence may be diminishing. So it's not worked so far.
We removed Saddam Hussein, who was an enemy of Iran, and at the same time we've installed a friendly pro-Shia government there in Iraq, the next door neighbor. So haven't we just empowered Iran?
Well, effectively we have, sure. But the goal of Iran is respect, and also to be viewed as the regional hegemon, the real leader of the whole region in many respects. And leaders to be, modeled on and also feared at the same time. Although what I think Iran really wants to do is it wants to be taken seriously. It wants respect, and it's increasingly moving in that direction. Now, obviously, what's going to happen in the first years of the Obama administration is we're going to have to see how we can control this and manage it in some fashion. But it hasn't been done very effectively until now.
And in this security deal that is going to be voted on possibly tomorrow, you don't really think this is the end of it as far as American presence there in Iraq, do you?
Not at all. And we have an interesting piece going into our next issue of World Policy Journal by John Nagel, who is wrote actually the military's counterinsurgency manual. He's out of the military now, but he's written an extraordinary piece which basically says that even after this agreement expires, we're still going to have 30,000 Americans there. We're going to have them there to manage the military forces that we can't train fast enough to get up to speed. The Air Force support, maintenance, training fighter pilots, all of ground support, and so on. None of this the Iraqis can take on in any meaningful form by themselves over the course of the term of this agreement. So really, this is going to have to be either renegotiated or in some fashion left open-ended.
David Andelman, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to speak with you.
Likewise.